Welcome back, my friends. There are great news this week. I waited some time for this video, but I know that you're eager to see it. We have a new update in the firmware of our beloved Mighty Plug Pro. That is the version 3, specifically 3.0.3. I waited some time before producing this video and showing you the news because NUX recently showed that they send the new firmwares and they are prone to quick fix immediately after. So I prefer to have a more stable situation before sharing with you this one, and so avoid for any of you maybe had to tamper with specific bugs that were hidden within the new young firmware. So, being said this, let's have a look at the news in a moment. And so here we go. We are speaking about the new firmware version 3 for our fantastic NUX Mighty Plug Pro. I have mine here ready so I can show you. In this video, if you're interested, I will not show you step by step how to make the upgrade because there is another video for upgrading Mighty Plug Pro. So please look at that. The steps you need to follow are exactly the same, so don't worry. And by the way, another important thing that you may be interested in, the new version of the firmware is backward compatible, speaking about presets, with version 2. So don't be afraid, you can upgrade and still use your favorite preset you saved for version 2. You may remember that version 1 and version 2 are not compatible one with each other, so version 2 cannot use version 1 presets, but from version 2 onwards, that is the more recent one, and I'm confident each one of you already upgraded your device, you will have no troubles because of course you can share those presets. Okay, I will give you an example as well. Okay, let's hide for a moment the preset. Where to find the new version of the firmware? Of course, in the usual website, that is nuxaudio.com/mightyplugpro.html. So this is the usual um, path you need to follow. Look for support, of course. In support, you see that there are manuals and firmwares. The new version of the firmware, as we said, is version 3.0.3. Again, as you may be used from what you have seen with version 2, there are two versions. Okay, there are differences, of course. There is the macOS version and Windows version. That's normal. But even considering this, there are two versions. The vanilla one, as I will name it during the video, and the Choptones version. In the Chopstone version, just to let you know, this is a frequent question. It is exactly the same firmware you have in taking the vanilla one, but with the addition of two custom IRs made by Choptones. So generally speaking, they produce very high quality IRs you can use with your presets, but just keep in mind that these two IRs are integrated within the firmware. You cannot export them from there, and also they will fill two of the user spaces, so your spaces for custom IRs for your favorite IRs that you can upload through the software will be reduced by two spaces that are taken by this one. To me, it is a good trade-off because honestly, I really like these IRs, so I installed this one. And in the video I mentioned before, where you can find a guide step by step for upgrading the firmware, you will find exactly also that version. So the new firmware provides some changes. By the way, you can find the release notes here in help as well. We'll open them together because this way I can use them for a guideline to give you an idea. So what are the main news is very quickly, then I will go step by step on what has been changed. There are some new amplifiers, not exactly new. There is a hint I will show you later, but it is a long list, in my opinion, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new amplifiers that you can use. There is a new effects TouchWah that was missing in Mighty Plug Pro, but it was present in other NUX devices like Mighty Air, even older one like Mighty Air or Mighty Light Bluetooth Mark II. There is the mono octave, so this is an octaver that was missing as well. And now within the drum machine, it is also possible to use a metronome that was missing. We just had some backing tracks, but we didn't have the possibility to use the main. Oh, sorry, there is something strange here. Oh, okay, yes. There is no possibility. There were no possibility to use a simple metronome. Personally, I like this change, but I will give you in some details later about this main topic. So let's start from the beginning with the evaluation about the new amplifiers. But in the meantime, as we said, I had my plug here. I will connect it to my guitar so I can let you hear immediately an example of what you are speaking about. So give me a moment to switch the, the focus and grab my guitar. See you in a moment. Let's start having a look at the list of new amplifiers with the first one, that is the twin reverb that should be a sort of replica of a Fender twin reverb. So I'm expecting the best from this amp to be coming from its ride room, from its cleans. In fact, it's very bright. There is also the brightness the option that simply increases a lot trebles. I don't like it a lot. So let's detach it. Yes, better. Let's see how much gain we can obtain from this. Well, a little strange, but it can look like, it can remember somehow the Fender, but of course the best you can obtain from here is for cleans, for okay, let's go on with the second one. That is the class A15, so I'm selecting it from the app. Of course, it is trying to replicate a Vox A15. We already had the simulation of the A30, if you remember. This is a little smaller, so it should replicate that sound. I'm expecting this to be better when used for, sorry, I need to reduce for a moment gain, otherwise it will be very, this is famous for its crunchy tone. It is less structure, less bassy than the A30 version, but in any case it can be useful. Of course, maximum gain. Very interesting, honestly speaking. You can reduce the gain and increase the master. It sounds like a very British tone, if I have to be honest, so you can decide also the cut. Quite realistic, because what I can find out is that if I increase the gain, I need to reduce the master. Like it's simulated a double stadium, the preamp and the power amplifier. If I reduce the gain, the volume is lower until I raise the master. So it's replicate quite faithful, at least from this point of view, the behavior of a regular amplifier. So I believe it's very interesting. Crunchy.
max out gain. Very British in my opinion. So let's go on with the third one. The Vibro King, let's select it. So from here, well, let's start from very low gain. This, if you look at the screen as on my smartphone, it has the same options you can find on the Twin Reverb. You have the brightness option, very perceivable. Everything on none. Increase the gain. This sound much more American from its distortion, so it can be very interesting. Well, of course, I would never use the distortion of the amplifier alone for a distorted sound. This sound a little messy, a little fuzzy, so it's as expected from an amplifier. So let's go on with the next one. Here we go with the Buddha, that is as expected. You see from the description on the website that it features 12AX7 and 12AT7 tubes that are very common in Marshall amplifiers, for example, so we are expecting something similar to that. I starting from high gain this time, like something like this. You see that it is quite very crunchy, so okay. So let's try that at lower gain. You hear that it is not perfectly clean, so it is an amplifier meant to be used for average clean. So especially for like some kind of blues or classic rock, it would be good. It's similar to a plexi, I would say, from this kind of behavior. So let's go on with the next one. This is named Brit Blues, so I'm expecting it to be perfect for that kind of behavior, to be not perfectly clean. It has the presence knob to be selected, so it is possible to. This is something that is normally present in Fender amplifiers, so this probably is replicating a Fender Blues Junior or something like that. So you can increase, well, simply the presence is increasing brightness generally, but it is, instead of having the switch for only for brightness, you can also set the value. It sounds kind of hot, so it's clean. So let me go to the neck. Never perfectly clean, even at low gain, because it is meant. So you hear it is always a little dirty, very pleasant in my opinion. It sounds really like a tube amplifier. So at least in my headphones, it sounds very good. I like it. I will use it for sure. The next one is the Match. Also in this one, even in the description, they say that it features EL84 power tubes that are used, generally speaking, I would say in any Marshall well known. So we are expecting a British tone as described here. Well, I have to tell you, it sounds the clean you hear is very plexily somehow. So it is still good. But it seems like a Fender, I would say, but it sounds really similar to a tube amplifier. It's very convincing in my headphones. So again, let's try to increase the gain. You see that the headroom is still there because I am right above half gain, but still the sound is kinda clean. Even in max it becomes really fuzzy, unusable in my opinion. This one makes no sense alone. It's very fuzzy because it's trying to keep in headroom as much as possible. Honestly, to me, it sounds much more like a Fender than a Plexi. So let's go on with the next one. That is the Brit 2000. As the name suggested, this is intended to replicate in 1957 or something like that. So definitely a Plexi. You can hear that even at very low gain, it's dirty. It's dirty like you're gonna expect from a real Plexi. So this is very convincing. It sounds really like the Plexi when you're using together the two channels. That is the usual application for that. Let's increase somehow the gain. I would probably increase the presence to clean up a little the sound and reduce somehow the basses. But it is good. Probably increasing the gain will make it distort too much. Really fuzzy, but not bad. Really useful, very really usable in my opinion, even for metal. Great, I like it a lot. And of course the last one is intended for providing the greatest possibility of sorry, let me activate the noise gate. There is a return inside my headphone. I hope it was not recorded. Well, this one is really intended for use at a very high gain. Look at the screen, I am at about 15%, 20% of gain. It is already like this, so really notable. Let's try it at its max. Well, even too much probably, so I don't really like it. No, I don't know what happened. It stopped working. You cannot hear it anymore. Oh, what happened? Ah, direct issue. We can see immediately something going wrong. Well, in any case, this is very high gain amplifier, but again, if, like for many others of those we have seen before, it is usable around until more or less a 50% gain. Otherwise, it becomes really something synthetic, fake, so really not reliable. Let's go on with the rest of the effects. Now let's see how the new effects TouchWah is working. You can select it from the effects block. So take the list. It's the last one, the 14. TouchWah. This is an auto wah, so it's not possible to control it with a pedal. You need to use it together. On, off, on. It should attach. You hear that how fast it goes is connected to your plane. You have different types, so the rotation, the cry, wax, fuel, talk. So we have 4 options. My favorite is probably the second. You can decide many parameters, the sensitivity, the level, if it should start increasing or decreasing. You hear the difference, I think. So it's well, it's can be interesting. Well, of course, it's much better what you can obtain with your with a pedal, but this way with an effect pedal. But this one can work as well. And now it's time to check the new modulation, that is the Octaver. It is in the mod block in the screen. I hope you can see. Let's turn it on. Let's select the mono octave, that is the last one. You see that it can create a different you can select three values here that are how much you want to change how much you want to increase the tone. You hear that there are two sounds. I hope you can hear it, because you have the mix between dry and wet. This way is all dry. This all is all wet. So you can mix the elaborated signal or the clean one, the dry one. If you put it 100% dry, it's the simple play. If you like, it was detached, well, not exactly, because there is a change in the volume, but it is almost clean. If you put it on the other way around, so 0, it's the full Octaver. Here I decreased a lot. You hear that it sounds like a bass. So if your purpose is to try and simulate a bass with your guitar, of course it's not perfectly reliable, but it sounds kinda like that. Put sub at maximum, dry at 0, so you can hear only the elaborated sound, is not combined with your regular guitar sound, and you can select the frequency here. That means that the octave, how much you want to reduce it or increase it. The sub is how much you hear, because this is providing two signals, one that is shifted an octave below, one that is shifted an octave below, above, and you can mix them. If you wanted to go one octave below, use this one and use it alone, the sub, so the octave below. If you put it at 0 and put the up, you have the octave above. I'm playing the low E string. I hope you can see that, and it is playing like the high E string, more or less. So that is the main purpose of this one. So you can combine the octave below, the octave above, and the clean signal from your guitar. So there is room for a lot of effects if you want to have fun. Now let's have a look at the last addition, that is the possibility to have in the drum section the metronome. I'm in the drum section in the up, so the second tab, simply speaking. Look at the screen on my smartphone, and you see that together with the other patterns we used to have, rock, country, blues, metal, and so, there is also a metronome that can work at 4th, 8th, 17, if you want 4x4, 3x4, so there are different combination 4x4 and 3x4 with different rhythms. You see this one is remarking the fourth, and then that way you can play to that, or you can select the 8th or the 17th, the 16th, sorry, or slower, second, okay. So there are different patterns very common in our playing that you can use. In my opinion, a good addition, because I like backing tracks, but for practicing the drum, for me is fantastic, because if you're able to be stable, to be correct, and to get the groove with the drum, the result is It's really beautiful.
One thing that I would really like to speak about now is something that you may have noticed after the check about the new amplifiers you have seen. You may believe that they are somehow familiar. Why? Because, of course, they are models well known. But there is another thing to consider. You may remember that in this channel I always speak about Mightier Amp amplifier, Mightier Amp application to be used with NUX devices because I believe it increases a lot their functionalities and the possibilities they can provide. It's an app developed by Tuntori, one of the friends we have been meeting in the past. He is working heavily on this and providing additions, new devices supported, and of course, Mighty Plug Pro is one of the devices included. What I'm telling you is also valid for Mighty Space, by the way, because they are very similar from this point of view. These the additional amplifiers you have seen before the new ones, the seven ones provided by NUX, were already in the machine. In fact, they used to be present already in the list included in Mightier Amp. So, if you were using this application, it was not a big deal and not a great such a news because those amplifiers were ready more than 1 year ago. So again, my compliments to Tuntori for this because he reverse engineered the system, studied it, how it was composed, and so on, and he was able to unlock these ones some time ago. Of course, probably NUX didn't make them available immediately because they wanted them to be more stable, more tested. Maybe they were already looking forward for the possibility to show that they were supporting the device. I'm confident that they fine-tuned in this firmware those amplifiers to make them more usable, and now they decided to make them available together with other additions that were not accessible before. So there are news. But for what is related to those amplifier simulations, there was already a possibility to have them even without waiting for the new firmware. So again, if you are familiar with a Mightier Amp application that, in my opinion, always raised the level, raised the expectations. Just use it. It's great. It's free. It's available for Android and for iOS. Just if you are using it and you're happy with it, consider supporting Tuntori, giving a small donation to his GitHub website. Being said this, there are many other. Well, one thing I would like to remark: there are many other changes in Mightier Amp application that now is in version at the time of this video 1.0.16. I would like to show them in a separate part, but I will give you, if you want an in-depth analysis, just let me know so I can show you that. But in any case, I would like to really quickly show you the brief addition that were provided. Of course, it includes all the additions provided with this new firmware. So it is 100% compatible with the new firmware and enabling all the possibilities. So you have no reason not to use it at the time being. Of course, we can see that it is connected already to my device. Well, there were some minor additions that were made by Tuntori. One is he found out that using the new amplifiers, especially for example those that include a presence like, if I remember, the Vibro King or something like that. It decided to use instead a bright trigger. You may say this is a limitation. This sounds like a limitation because it's reducing amount, the possibility to fine tune how bright we want to have this sound. But he found out it is well known that with this new firmware there are some artifacts provided by the presence meter. So that's why he decided to put a trigger. This is a precise choice. In my opinion, if NUX would improve the firmware in order to remove those created artifacts, you may have noticed something in the samples I recorded, some distortions and so on, some background noises that are less evident if you are just enabling or disabling that functionality. So that is the main reason for this. Of course, with for what is related to the effects, if we look at the TouchWah, something that Tutori was able to miss, he added some switches that now are also present in the official application. At the time of issuing of this version of the Mightier Amp, it was not available, and in my opinion, is easier to be used because, for example, for the four formats, you just need to select the four buttons instead of scrolling a knob in four position that can sound not so familiar. By the way, one thing that I would like to tell you, it is partially possible to to control the TouchWah with the pedal. I mean, you can associate your expression pedal to any of the values. For example, if you associate it to the wow, no, to the wow selector with your pedal, like it was a volume, you can increase it or decrease it. It's not exactly like activating or deactivating the wah pedal, but it is something better than what you can regularly do with the official app. So this one, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting addition that we can leverage. If you want to know how to use an expression pedal to control this, you will need some additional toolings. Please refer in this very channel to the videos Guitar 4 and Guitar 5 especially. So you will see how to associate, for example, you see that it is the wow is the first selector of the effects group. It will be possible to use a remote controller and use it for parameters and associate it to the first, that is level of the effect. I hope you can read it, even if it is grayed out. I'm referring to this one. You can associate it to this will be the wow in the TouchWah, and you will be able to use it for increasing and decreasing it with your expression pedal. If you want an in-depth description of this one, just let me know. If it is not so obvious looking at the video I mentioned, I will be more than happy to provide something for your convenience. We are at the end of this video. My conclusions related to what we have seen so far. Well, I think that NUX, again, as they did with NUX MG30 and many other devices, is showing regularly some love to their devices. This one is one of the most interesting one, considering that also that now one of the most important competitors, that is the Boss Katana Go, is not available anymore because the Boss had some troubles finding components. So at the time of my recording of this video, it is very difficult to find out that device. That is great in my opinion. I tried it, but it costs more. And it costs more, and it is not easy to be found. This one is great. The addition, the additional amplifier, even if they were already available, so honestly speaking, it's not a great news if you were following this channel and using Mightier Amp application, but in any case are very usable in my opinion, not exactly in their full range, because you have seen from the samples probably that many of them, when you're reaching more than halfway of gain, they become fuzzy, strange, unreliable. But especially if you listen to them with good headphones like myself, they sound very fine, very similar to what you are expecting from a tube amplifier. So, in my opinion, they are very similar. I like them a lot, and I'm not surprised that I've heard many people, even some light professionals, using this as a controller for a cabinet, an external PA or something like that, or directly into the mixer to get a sound that is elaborated as they found. It is possible to get very good tones, and I'm really happy with this device. That, by the way, as we said, NUX is improving better and better. So the good thing, in my opinion, is also that your money is spent and it lasts some time because it's not they are keeping the device alive with additions and changes. Also, I think that they were very sensitive to the request of the customers because honestly, I remember a lot of people asking for adding again the TouchWah that was missing and instead was present in older devices like NUX Mighty Air, for example, or Mighty Plug 2, and NUX did what we required. Also, the metronome was highly requested again it was possible to in other devices, and it was provided again in here. So very good again, NUX. My compliments because you are listening to your customers and improving your devices. The new amplifiers were not exactly requested, but of course everybody is asking for that. Probably the most required addition is the Octaver that was not available before, was not available in other devices of this kind. Is it perfect? Not really. It is not so wide in possibility, but it's easy to use and gives you the improvement you are expecting. Honestly, I believe I will be able to use it a lot. The first use I'm believing is simulating a bass. In any case, thank you again to X for these improvements. We are happy with that. If you want instruction on how to install the new firmware, there is a specific video in this channel that I'm gonna link in the description. Feel free to give me any feedback. I will always try to reply to everything. Even critics are very welcome if they can help me improve the contents I'm providing. Of course, be forgiving, I'm doing this in my very limited spare time. You have seen that there are sometimes long pauses between different publications because my regular job is taking me away from this. This is one of the reasons I'm suggesting you to subscribe and ring the bell. This way, every time something new is available, you will get notified, and there is no risk that you're gonna lose something that may interest in you. In the meantime, I'm renewing to you the invitation for the next appointment, for the next video becoming public. I hope you found this one useful, and my great bye bye to everybody.